Then we will call to order the Design Review Board regular meeting on 6 August 2026. If everybody can please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so item number 3 is a call to community. Are there any citizens who would like to address the commission on any non-related or non-agenda item?
Vice Chair, everyone in attendance is here for an item on our agenda. We have not received any requests either.
Okay. All right, item 4A, approval of minutes. Do we have any discussion or motion to approve or deny the minutes?
For what?
Approval of the minutes.
Oh, absolutely. Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And for board member Derry, I know he's on a phone and muting and unmuting is real tricky when you're on a phone. So if we do not hear, we'll take notes and get back to you as far as those votes.
Okay. So I will assume that passes and let you document that. Okay, so item B, Gerber Collision Site Plan PZ 2637.
Vice Chair, members of the board, thank you. This is item 4B, Gerber Collision. It is south of the southwest corner of El Mirage and Camelback Road in Monument Point. Our last meeting with some people in this room, in fact, we were talking about Monument Point. So we're back in the industrial park again, as it has a substantial amount of interest in new business. And this is a request to recommend approval for a site plan of an automotive repair business. The zoning is general industrial, which is just I, and this location is subject to the Monument Point design guidelines. We talked a lot about those in our last meeting about another project. I think you'll see this one we got ahead of and our applicant, Melanie, who's online, you can see on the screen currently waving, will certainly add to the conversation as needed. And this team is responsible and worked on the Caliber Collision project within the same complex many years ago. The road you see on the bottom is the Estero Court. Just to the north, coming off screen, is the 3-story mini storage project. So this would basically bookend, I guess you could say, the majority of the frontage along El Mirage. There is a parcel directly south, but this is the, I guess, last one in the row of connected drive aisles, connected access points from one end to the other. There is also a cell tower on this site that has been erected that is a mono elm, I think it is. I still think it looks upside down, but if you haven't seen it, go take a look. Here's a quick look at the landscaping that's being proposed. I will tell you that this project has already gone through a first review of the technical side of it with myself, the building official, and the city engineer. And we actually had our post-app, let's call it, meeting and comment review resolution meeting this week. So they're working on technical changes, none of which have anything to do with the design of the building. As far as that goes, you'd find that this would be very consistent with the other projects in the center. Actually, I think I can't say consistent with anymore. I will rephrase to say that this is in accordance with the Monument Point design guidelines that are adopted regarding approved materials. I'll say it like that. So you will see a mix of approved materials, and certainly, considerations of glazing as well are supported. You can see the mini storage kind of rendered there in the background to the north as well. Here's a look at the rear of the site. The rear of the site is contained within a very tall perimeter wall. This is, again, very similar to Caliber, where this is somewhat the storage of the vehicles that are waiting to get repaired in the back of house operations. And they even threw the little shadow of the cell tower, but I don't see the elm fronds. That's okay. We don't need the branches shown. Now, as far as our analysis goes, Melanie and her team was very upfront from a pre-app through the first review as far as what the expectations of the city were for design, as well as the design standards within that Monument Point document. And this does meet that intention. So our request for you this evening is to move a recommendation of approval to the zoning administrator for the proposed automotive repair business filed PZ 2637, subject to the exhibits provided by the applicant. I'm available for questions as well as Melanie.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Randy?
Are we approving just the building? Are we approving the site plan, landscape, lighting, etc.?
Chair, this is a recommendation of the site plan. So yes, those elements would be included in this conversation the evening as well.
I guess I didn't. I saw the site plan briefly. But is there a formal there? Okay. I guess I just need to. And the plant palette is the same as other. As far as you know, is this similar to what we've approved for the other projects in this area?
Chair, it is, and I guess the good news, bad news is Monument Point is very, very specific about its approved plants. So not a lot of room for creativity.
Okay.
I guess I'm curious. You said it conforms, but is there a height restriction on the industrial? In industrial?
Vice Chair, for the building or for the walls?
For the building.
Vice Chair, for the building, there is offhand. I don't know if I have that building height readily available. Melanie, if you want to prep on that, I'll defer to you. I know that we do have, and we talked about it last month, we have setbacks adjacent to the perimeter of the residential. The best way to know if they're meeting the height standards is the 3-story mini storage directly north.
Yeah.
Is significantly taller
Okay.
than this Gerber collision, which is only the 1-story.
Oh, okay. Because it says it's 122 feet, I think, to the top, right? So I guess I was thinking that would be pretty.
122 feet is a typo. I don't know if that may be meant elevation.
Maybe it is elevation. I'm sorry. I apologize. I looked
That's
at the rocks. I was like, that's just like
122 feet is incredible.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Something's wrong here. Okay, got it. My reading was wrong. Good. Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any other? I don't know if the applicant would like to say anything as well.
Hi, my name is Melanie Bagley. I'm the VP of Property Development for Pinnacle Development. We're here out of Dallas. As Randy meant, I have to say that Randy's been a joy to work with. Probably one of my favorite planners to date, but he is correct. Part of my job is to vet the criteria and conform. In this case, it's I don't want to say straightforward. I hate using that word these days, but the text is there in black and white. The instruction to my team was follow the text verbatim. And that is what we've presented to you here. Randy is correct in the step backs. That is a little bit above my architectural intelligence because I know there's a formula that goes into that. And I do have with me Teresa Snow from RTM. She's our civil engineer, and Armand Meacham from CVG Architects for any other design intensive questions you may have. But I know there was some calculating that needed to be done to confirm that we conform with the building height there. I want to say that Randy's also right. My team worked on the Caliber collision. This Gerber collision is, similar in nature and use. I think the positive here is it's a smaller building, and we've got ample room for our parking to meet code, more than we expect to meet the demand of the use, and again, a very benign use. Operational hours are 7 to 5. And I think it's in line with the makeup of the buildings and the uses that are in the area, and we feel it's a great fit. If there are any other questions you might have, please ask away. And I am so grateful, by the way, that you guys still offer a virtual option for these meetings, because it is hot there in Phoenix right now. Maybe just as hot in Dallas, but it's hot there. So thank you. That's it, Randy. I'm here for questions.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or discussion?
No.
Okay, okay, hearing none, does anybody have would anyone like to make a motion?
I would make a motion that we I would move, excuse me, that we recommend approval to the zoning administrator for proposed automotive repair business filing order PC 2637, subject to exhibits provided by the applicant.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? So yeah, we'll do the same thing on this one. Close that one out then. All right, moving on to item C, the venue design review package PC 2640.
Thank you. For Melanie and team, feel free to jump off.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you. Item 4C is known as the venue. The location is 111 West Honeysuckle Street, where the current Ribbons building is located. And this is a request for approval of a design review of a new 6,050 square foot, 2-story commercial building, which is on boards and in 3D prints, but we'll get to that later in the conversation. The zoning is NCPD, Neighborhood Commercial Planned Development. Now, there's a big asterisk right there. It's pending a rezone case to city center. In the staff report, I had noted that as zoned currently, any sort of new development like this is not possible due to parking requirements, landscape requirements, development standards within NCPD. The applicant is pushing through a rezone to city center to join the rest of Litchfield Square. That is underway, and that will be approved in your meeting in September through City Council and through Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. So this is a recommendation that's going to be brought before you. However, I will not act upon it until after that City Council meeting has been completed and acted upon. So it's directly across the street. If we could bust a few windows down, we could take a look at where this is. As noted, it is where the current Ribbons building is and where they used to park that little bus, that little bit of parking from the old bank site that's next to Milk and Honey. You will note also in here and through separate conversations, not part of tonight's conversation, this drive aisle that hopefully you can see my mouse running back and forth or on the big board in front of you is not exist today. Now, part of what needs to be done through engineering permits is to basically connect those driveways, as there is a bit of landscaping that separates those two areas currently. What is going to be done and what was talked about with Brian, I don't know how many years ago, was some initial engineering analysis was done to make that sort of connection. What that provides is essentially the fire truck loop to go in and out of the site so that all points and portions of the site can be accessible. So when we do fun infill things like this in our downtown, it can be done. There's also another conversation being had outside of the purview of this committee this evening as far as on-street parking. That's within city right-of-way. There's a couple considerations we have to keep in mind, namely the fire truck again, which requires 20 feet free and clear, but I'll stay on track now. Here's just a closer look at it. Again, directly next to Milk and Honey. What comes of this also, not only with this driveway connection, is additional site improvements. What is known as a fire lane, you can see the fire lane hashing there would no longer be required because this loop road is now connected. So that provides additional outdoor space for the adjacent businesses, as well as a very standard way of approaching trash and hiding it in the back of sites. You can see that this location will use the city center allowances of 0-foot setbacks and utilize as much space as possible on that area. Here's a look at it in 2D. A 3D version is available when the applicant comes up to chat. you can see it is somewhat tied, and I'll say this carefully, because City Center has design standards. Certainly this is the intention of the area as far as that Spanish colonial revival sort of look. We're seeing that expressed in different ways through the two projects between Huedacamazo, which is almost complete, so help me, it's almost complete, and for Microdelpho, which is now broken ground in the top corner, we could say the northwest corner. So this would be the bottom right or the southeast corner as we continue to have interest in the remaining parcels. Here's a look at the rendering. We'll have to talk about the size of the sign, but that's a separate conversation. I think it might be a little big, but that's okay. You can see the awnings, which are consistent with the adjacent properties, all within the same ownership and the same design language, you know, the building foundation landscaping just to soften up that space, as well as utilizing everything that the city center had done already as far as improvements on Desert Ave and Honeysuckle Street. Here's a look at the materials being depicted. I'm sure this will be part of our conversation as we continue on this presentation. As far as analysis is done, again, as mentioned, we can move this forward pending the conversation tonight and P&Z and City Council in September on the rezoning, which would then permit this to move forward into construction. So our recommendation is, and request for this evening, is to recommend approval to the zoning administrator for the proposed two-story commercial building, the Venue. File number PZ 2640, subject to exhibits provided by the applicant, and one stipulation. And just to reiterate, again, we couldn't do it anyways, but we like to have these almost redundant mentions so we're all on the same page. Staff cannot approve, or staff approval cannot occur until the property has been rezoned to city center, zoning district. Happy to answer any questions, and the applicant and architecture team is here for you as well.
Okay, thank you. I had a question, I guess, because I noticed in the staff report that it says that the staff has not received any public comments on this proposal. I guess I am curious, like, was it posted somewhere? Like, is there a mechanism for the city to receive comments? Because this is, like, especially with the city center, I think it's such a really important thing to get right, and it's so high profile that I
Yes, and Vice Chair, this is a unique situation for staff and for other similar sorts of cases. I cannot go beyond the code requirements to elicit feedback that isn't warranted by our laws. What I mean by that is, and I'll use a different example. We have situations that require conditional use permit through Planning Zoning Commission. It has a notification radius of 1,000 feet. The person that lives 1,001 feet always calls me and complains and says, how come not me? We have to be very specific in the code language to say that that sort of proliferation would continue forever. So that person that's 1,020 feet, 1,050 feet. For this project, it is not subject to the city center requirements because it's not in the city center. So it won't go before you as recommendation as to city council as approver. So I don't need to ask Councilmember Brainerd Watson to recuse herself because it's not within that same passage. It doesn't have a development agreement and a purchase agreement like other projects in city center.
okay.
This one being, I know it's a long-winded answer, I apologize. This one being in neighborhood commercial follows like any other project in neighborhood commercial. Your question is very similar to a question I got almost verbatim a few hours ago. So I'm wondering if there might be a little overlap there, or you're spooking me a little bit, but that's okay. So there are certainly people that have given comments about ribbons and their thoughts about ribbons. That shouldn't influence a design review request on this project's design as far as the purview of this board. So yes, the city has received plenty of comments about ribbons and how dare ribbons close, but that doesn't affect this proposal, nor is part of it. To finally answer your question you had asked initially, when the packet is publicized, anyone that's on an email list receives the packet.
Mhm.
I have a few residents that are very particular about the packet and will call and email me as needed to talk about certain items and agendas.
Okay,
For this one, I have not received any comments.
okay, but is that mechanism like it's only once it comes out on the agenda?
Yes, that's correct. Now, anyone can certainly reach out to us and say, what's new in Litchfield Park? What projects do you have?
Yeah.
We are, as you know, still paper plans. We are not quite there on technology.
Mhm.
I think I've mentioned in other meetings, we've just started GIS. I used Arizona State to create GIS for me. Other cities have almost dashboards that show upcoming street projects and CIP and when's my trash pickup.
Yeah.
Active cases is another one that P and Z uses.
Mhm.
I don't have ASU on standby for every project that comes in.
Yeah.
We are under contract. It's my hope that the next intern that comes on is a GIS intern that can start looking at this to see if it's possible to keep it more transparent, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess my concern is just especially with the city center and like, kind of these more prominent commercial things that we have going in. I just think it would be really helpful to be able to kind of take the temperature of the public. And I understand that just because Joe Schmo has a comment about something, and you would maybe receive comments that would be off topic.
Sure.
Certainly, that wouldn't actually be related, but anyway, I just think that it would be helpful to this board to help us if this type of design package was actually available
Yes.
in a timely fashion for the public to kind of weigh in and we could, filter through a little bit.
Unfortunately, the burden falls on you as the appointed body
Yeah.
to be the people in this situation.
Can I mean, are we even allowed to say, give architectural feedback now? I mean, that's what I'm concerned. I'm not particularly impressed with the design as presented. So I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say anymore, or if it even means anything anymore.
Chair, thank you for the question. I know I am very cautious with my words because I need to be very cognizant of my certification. And yes, just to catch everyone up, and you guys are going to be planners by the end of this meeting, is the state law, yes, Chair, the state law did change, and we are required to be objective in our review of this. I have not completed any sort of text amendment yet to talk about things objectively and only have objective code to go off of. The good news and the way we were able to keep this board running is that your comments, regardless of objective or subjective, are all considered. And through this conversation, back to the zoning administrator, which is city manager Matthew Williams, and I act as, his liaison in that situation. So any of that conversation still can be had. The architecture team and the applicant team can certainly take that in consideration. And we have yet to have a situation where, the card was pulled and said, we're not going to do it. We've been working through these handshake agreements very well, and I have no doubt, considering the gentlemen that are sitting to my left would consider any and all feedback.
So Randy, if I may, and if you would correct me if you think I'm wrong, like Susan, my interpretation is that like the city is now required to be objective but like this is sort of this enhanced track that then allows you to actually kind of speak freely.
Yes.
In this
That's
context.
correct.
So yeah, go ahead.
Considering what we've I don't know I need to go back to the city center design guidelines, and I don't have them at my fingertips if they're even if those are allowed to be used or useful. But some of the things I've noted right away, I think we did the zero lot line, but with hopes that there would be an arcade. Each building would be arcaded to provide shaded walkways, etc. I think what else? I don't know. This one just seems very flat in the design, and then also I don't really like the roof. It just seems the proportions seemed off. It doesn't have the grace that I would expect.
And Chair, hopefully the screen share is coming across okay with the things that you're mentioning within the city center in 27C of our code. So yes, so pedestrian traffic from neighboring areas should lead into the city center, creating a sense of invitation for local traffic. Walkways should be buffered from major vehicle roadways and traffic. Hardscape and vegetative barriers between the resort and the city center should be eliminated. Creating thematic features that convey the identity. Gateway feeling. Buildings, pathways, retail, landscaping should be accommodated with small architectural pieces such as light fixtures, decorative tiles, sign brackets. Taller buildings should be clustered together and look down on the city center with a centered focus that contributes natural shading and roofline variation. I think this is somewhat of what you're referring to.
Yeah. Walkways buffered. I mean, that's kind of like the sight line or site arrangement, building arrangement. Facades, open courtyards should open out, connect. I don't know if I made it in there, but
So Susan, maybe would it help if we maybe asked to hear from the applicant and then we could kind of dive a little deeper into some of your comments?
the proportions of buildings should emphasize horizontal rather than height. Spacing of elemental design should be varied rather than repetitive. I don't know. There's just it just didn't have the feel of what I think we were intending. It doesn't even with the building that it's adjacent to, where they had the arcades and other things that just give it a little bit more grace. This just seems like a warehouse.
Okay, so let's hear from the applicant if that's okay, Susan?
Yeah.
And then I have some comments that I would like to piggyback on yours as well, so.
Yeah.
Would you guys like to?
Yeah,
say anything,
sure.
or-
At the microphone.
Oh, yes, please.
We practiced last time. Come on.
One of the things that we were sensitive to on the design was to look at the existing buildings. These are older legacy buildings, so it was a bit tricky to kind of, what we were debating and discussing, do we go, something quite modern versus something that could tie into some of these other buildings that aren't particularly appealing, to be honest, but so we kind of wanted to do a little bit of a grade up when it came to the design as far as more of a modern look, but trying to keep the look of the current complex. So that was sort of the nature of why we wanted to design the building the way it is. So there is a 3D model as well if you've seen it, but that's, yeah, as far as the coloration too, that's something that we wanted to keep as well. So it was just sort of this middle ground between, that we put something extremely modern there. I don't think that would really go over too well. So that was the reason why we designed it the way it is.
So I guess I'll open it for any questions, if anybody has any questions, and then we can discuss.
I just have a comment, and cut me off if I can't make this comment.
You
but
can feel free.
I would like to see the roof line be more similar to what's in the other part of the center there. It looks, it's a flat roof, obviously. But I would like to see it kind of look a little more contiguous with that.
Okay.
I also, one of the things that marks the center, wherever it is, there, right, is the arches, and I would love to see that kind of elements.
Yeah, we were going to incorporate arches in the window arches. We were looking at that to do that. The look, the arches are kind of on the other side of the complex, so we had them actually up and then we abandoned them, but just to kind of have a continuous sort of look of window.
Is there a
Fencing.
possibility of maybe setting the first floor back so that you could create an arcade, a shaded arcade walkway in front of it rather than a perfectly flat facade with just a treatment on
Well,
it?
we do have room, we have set back the building with the alignment of the other buildings, so there's an 8-foot setback from the sidewalk, so we could put archways there in the front. We had that actually originally.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, because I feel like we've seen package for kind of where Papa Paul's or where the TCBC used to be that I thought included that. Did it, or am I
So-
remembering?
So Vice Chair, last time the applicant was here to talk about the auto
Auto
club,
club. I'm talking about before that even. Did I see something?
I think you shared.
He shared.
Oh,
it.
did
Yeah,
share
we
it?
shared
Okay,
it,
maybe
but we weren't here at the formal
Okay.
review.
Okay, sorry, it's rattling in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for another, topic. That's for another sort of design review and stuff there. But going back to the roof, the purpose of that roof is to hide all of the mechanicals up on the roof. So I know that there was, I believe that there's that sort of southwestern Spanish look coming to the center to some degree. So we kind of wanted to keep that, but that's the nature of that, is to have a clean roof. If we were to kind of keep it in line with we discussed this as well, like to have the continuation of that roof line, you're going to see a lot of mechanical equipment, and that just doesn't have a good look, in my opinion.
It's just from staff standpoint, that's not legal.
Yeah, I agree,
Okay.
and I mean, the parapet could be right.
You have to parapet any mechanical units.
But and so on that point, actually, I am curious because you said it's going to have a lot of mechanical. I noticed there's an elevator, and so is the lift equipment in that mechanical chase that's next to it, or will there be elevator equipment typically on the above that?
Speaking microphone.
Yes, please.
The modern elevators, all the equipment is actually within the shaft,
Okay,
so it actually runs on the rail itself.
okay,
So they're called Gen 2s. So all that equipment stays within the confines of the elevator shaft.
okay. So, and actually, while we're at it, then, so the purpose of that elevator, is it ADA or
Yes.
compliance? Okay. Okay.
I just wanted to make a comment on the mansard roof. That's the slope roof at the top. If we went with this straight parapet, the top of the parapet would be almost 40 feet tall. And so with the mansard roof, it kind of gives almost a 10-foot relief. So the building won't feel as high as well, as what we were kind of, because this will be the only 2-story building in that complex. So it kind of give that as a little bit of a relief. It wouldn't feel as high.
I mean, I appreciate the detail of adding that texture and of the mansard roof, but I guess I'm with Susan that to me, the proportions feel a little off. It kind of feels like you're seeing a lot, like too much brow. You know what I mean? Like yeah, well, I mean, because there's a very long boxy building, and then there's just that like a kind of a small proportionally like cap, on the building itself. And so I'm sure, and then that mansard roof doesn't have any overhang, so I don't know, I'm in agreement that it's kind of sitting in an uncomfortable space for me visually. And I also think there's these rafter tails, that detail that I think was added on, perhaps maybe to maintain some consistency with the older buildings, or I guess I'm curious about those.
I think that was just tying to the existing architecture in the complex around the other side, and kind of continue that architecture look.
Okay, I guess they feel very like, I don't know the right word to say it, but they're kind of just like they look glued on, kind of.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not, there's not a lot of like, it doesn't have a good rhythm necessarily. So I think this is a really important building because it is this transition between these buildings that represent our history, and it's in between these buildings that are our future, that are, some of them still haven't even been, lots haven't been sold yet, right? And so I see this as like a really critical building for that reason. And so I like the idea of maybe like looking at bringing in some of the like wood detailing from, that might be on the older buildings, but I just don't want it to be kind of a slapped on nod, is what I'm hoping for, I guess.
I felt like it needed to go further from edge to edge than it is. It looks like it's right over
The
the door.
windows or,
Hmm?
you mean like the windows or?
What you're talking about, the rafters and the,
Okay,
I'm assuming they're, that it's like a pergola, but not a pergola, you know.
the awning you're talking
Yeah.
about? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we can extend it.
Oh, or the-
Create an awning aspect, I guess.
Right,
Certainly,
right.
can
Interesting.
extend that, that's.
Which on the front would give you that coverage that would make that more shaded.
Vice, no, Vice Chair, I don't know how often you happen to drive by the library under construction. But I was there every day. I'm still there in my mind every day. We put rafter tails at the rafters.
Right.
At the edge of the roof line, where you would expect rafter tails to be.
Yeah.
And in fact, had a conversation with our architect, not Susan, with our ADM architect that had considered not doing rafter tails on the ends of the street facing facade because she had done a return element on the block at the bottom course. And I said, that doesn't change the roof line. The roof is still there. So the tails should be in accordance with the roof.
Yeah.
So we got that figured out. And, you know, the nice thing about this project is this has not gone through review with us yet.
Yeah.
So we wanted to get this one out in front of you from the start to
Yeah.
make sure we did not get any further without hearing this feedback.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there's some things that could be done to that would help, you know, really anchor the building, like pulling that pergola, the pergola sort of detail wider, or, you know, some things like that. And wrapping it around even, I think would be, especially because that's the west side, that's gonna be
Yeah,
a very,
it's
very
very-
much side in the evenings, which I think is when this place is gonna be, is intended to kind of be like really active, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, Vice Chair, that's one of those things that I talked with Mike Rodolfo on the project that he's going under, just starting construction. He has the 3rd story rooftop steakhouse with all of his outdoor seating into the west and to the south. And I wish him well. That's going to be like a 6 month a year sort of thing. But yes, to your point, especially with fenestration, if you put western windows, but then they're just shaded because it's too much of a glare, we've defeated the purpose of windows.
Yeah.
Can I ask the picture on, or the rendering on page 33 of 47? I don't know how else to refer to it.
I can pull up the packet with you. $33.
Yes, sir.
While he's doing that, I guess I could add that I do love the way that you have these openings on both floors, that that kind of will help it feel like indoor outdoor space in those nice moments. And especially the one that kind of opens towards the center. I mean, that's that, if there is kind of an active concert or whatever's happening in there, like, I think that could really draw people in a nice way.
Yeah, those are windows that doesn't look big, but it's 40 feet in one, so it's slab. So there'll be a faux sort of Juliet balcony
Okay.
that will come and you'll push it out like that.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then we're going to be adding a skylight in the middle, like
Oh,
in the
nice.
center. So in the center of this is a single occupancy building. There'll be a courtyard in the center. There'll be a stage in there. So there's a lot of activities that will happen. Yeah, we do want to have that kind of indoor outdoor feeling, but we were having it very quite exposed, but you know, with the summer, it's just, you have to enclose these things. And, you know, we're gonna be sensitive to noise as well, so we can close all that stuff up and open it up when we can and open up as much as we can. But we do like the idea of the roof and putting some of like an extended awning with some wood ties kind of concepts like that. I think that's a really good idea.
So my question to you was, and I'm sorry, I should be able to read these better than I am, but my background is education, not architecture. Are we looking at columns there, or what are the long vertical that went away?
It's coming back in just a second.
They're just architectural accents. Go ahead.
Accent.
So
Just
they,
to kind of break up the monotony of a back of a building in the back.
so this is the
That's facing-
south side of the
That's
building.
the south side, yeah.
Looking at CenturyLink.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, just trying to break it up a bit instead of a huge wall.
so this might be a place where you could incorporate arches or an arched feature somehow that would connect to
I
the,
would say that we would want to do it on the north side, really, because we have 8 feet from setbacks from the sidewalk. So if we could figure out some sort of an incorporation of arches there, I think we'd have the space to do that, would we not?
Councilmember, do you mean a arched walkway or just essentially an embossed?
an embossed arch.
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, not a
Sorry.
walkway. I can see
Okay.
that not being a good place to.
Yeah, no, that would be.
I guess the fire lane and
Yeah, the
CenturyLink.
fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Fire.
Let's put a bunch of chairs there.
Yeah,
I guess I also, I don't know, you may have already considered this, but I think, I'm kind of recalling like Mill Street, for example, there's some buildings where they're like that faux, you say you have a faux Juliet balcony right there. I mean, if that was actually like occupiable, you could have a couple of little tables out there. That would also, especially on the north side, that would create a lot of activation and be nice, pretty year round. So.
yeah, I think that if we created an archway, a walkthrough on the north side, we could probably create some sort of a patio on top of that archway. Or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, so you'll notice that the north side, that 40-foot expansion is higher than on the west side because there's a tiered second floor, sort of kind of a theater style concept of seating sightlines,
Yeah.
to get the sightlines of the stage.
Yeah.
But having a patio out there, an actual patio, would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Above an archway, yeah.
So they wouldn't necessarily have the good access to they wouldn't see the sightlines to the stage, to your point, I think, but.
They wouldn't, but they would, yeah, it would be outdoor.
I mean, I think from a tenant's perspective, like if I can get people out there and then other people can see that there are people out there having a good time, like that's gonna draw more people in, so.
Yeah,
I think
so, yeah, I think you're right that it's a special piece of property. It's a unique piece where it's gonna tie in sort of old meets new and sort of this mid-grade of not so much modern, but trying to bring in the Southwest kind of feel and would be
It's a
good, yeah.
challenge.
What-
It's a challenge before you. I think
Yeah, but I think, challenge accepted, we can kind of do that. I like the awning extension of the roof line, getting some wood, what'd you call it, end pieces or whatever,
After tails.
yeah, the rough, yeah.
Horrible.
case. Yeah, those are a great concept. And creating a balcony on the north side there with arches. Definitely, we could do that because we have the room there. We don't have the room on the west side. So we're up against the sidewalk there. So there's not much we can do on the west side.
And Brian, I have this sort of conversation with lots of folks, so please don't take offense. It doesn't exist today. So the only limits are self-imposed as far as you don't have room on the west.
Sure.
Okay, so
Fair enough.
anything is possible.
Boy, we don't hear that from Randy very often, so
Yeah.
you should just like take it and run. I'm just kidding. Okay, so all right, so have we exhausted the comments and discussion, or is there anything else that anyone would? want to
So,
comment?
yeah, Vice Chair, to your point, you have discretion as far as how you'd like to handle this as the board. If this is something you'd like to see again, then you could move to table or you can move to deny. That doesn't mean it's not a bad thing in this situation. It's just a request for a second look at it. So it is all of you and your discretion how you'd like to see this move forward or see it again.
I mean, personally, I'm not making a motion, I guess, but I would appreciate being able to see it again. So I think, and it's probably better for them if we table it, I am guessing, so that they don't have to do the application all over again. Is that?
So it hasn't completed, Vice Chair, it hasn't completed its technical review. So
Yeah.
we will have comments as well that will need to be addressed. So as part of that, if there is substantial change to what is being presented to you, we will bring it back before you because it isn't fair to you to see one thing and then build another.
Yeah. Sure.
So we can certainly accept a motion to table or however this board would like to handle.
I mean,
If I'd make a comment, I would like to see the applicant do something on the north side to create some sort of recess where they use that a walkway balcony for the second floor as one element that would help create some three-dimensional aspect to the building where it's not just so boxy with things just stuck on it. And then perhaps the roof line, they could look at that again and give that some more interest so that maybe the proportions would look a little bit better compared to the overall size of the building. The roof was just off and no overhang, which is more typical for the style. Those are something I'd like to see again. So I'd be willing to make a motion to table this to a future meeting.
okay, we have a motion and.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 I love the concept.
Susan, I don't know if we heard.
Oh,
All right. So I will close that item out and we'll get Bob's
Yes,
input. Yes.
thank you.
Really, okay. All right, so then item D, Cox Guest House Conversion, PZ 2644.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Item 4D is the Cox Guest House conversion. They're sitting in the back. Mr. and Mrs. I guess. I'll talk to you tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We got lots of things going on. Yeah. The location is 403 Redondo Drive South. This is a request for designer review approval of the use of if you excuse me, had a little more information presented to me before the meeting started of it's not prefab nor is it a shed, but the request is a guest house. And I'll explain myself and correct the staff report as we go on. The zoning is R115. Again, the request is in depiction only what a similar idea of the architecture will be, but this is a ground up stick built structure. Here's the depiction, which is what we would objectively expect within Litchfield Park. I'll say it like that. Here it is. I like this one. I need to figure out how I can do this. How it would look in the backyard as far as how it proportionally fits. You'll note with the pitched roof, they had to set back an additional 2 feet because it is ending up at 12 feet instead of the 10 foot. Here's a look at the interior of how that would lay out in this guest house. As a reminder, the city does not permit the term ADU because of our vicinity of a military installation. We can't essentially double the amount of people underneath the flight path. But any sort of guest house is permitted as a guest of the homeowners. Here's a look at just the roof line as far as how that increases up to that 12 foot and that porch that is facing west. That'll help with that afternoon sun. So the proposal is consistent with all of our requirements. you'll note in our stipulation, we were just seeing, it will look like the shed and it'll be the shed. And we had a little heart attack as far as that's not going to meet RNRC. We've since cleared that up with the applicant, so that is no longer a concern of ours. It's still here on the motion. It may be bunk or moot at this point, but I don't need us to change it for any reason. So it's a request to move to recommend approval to the zoning administrator for the proposed shed to guest house conversion. File PZ 2644, subject to the exhibits provided in stipulations 1 through 3. I'll read for you. A building permit issued by the city will be required before any construction is to occur. 2, construction shall meet all the prescriptive requirements of the 2018 IRC. 3, provide on-site retention for the 100-year 6-hour event for new construction with maximum 12-inch depth, including flow lines. That's from my engineer. I'll explain it to you after, which will make a lot more sense. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, and the applicants are here as well.
I have a question. The square footage of the building and the lot coverage of the site, when that's considered?
Chair, yes, as far as all development standards for the zoning, it is. R115 is very generous on lot coverage compared to like the R1 or RE. You would think of like the Bird Lane and the Staros and things like that. R115 is offhand, I think 40%. I can look it up for you, but we're nowhere close to that.
Okay. And this is not really visible from the street. It's just in the backyard.
Chair, it is in the backyard, yes. And the increased setback of 7 feet from the side yard only helps that situation as far as the visibility.
Is there a site plan to show exactly where it is?
Chair, I apologize. I did not prepare one for this.
There kind of is one in the packet.
Let me find it. Oh, hang on. Let me pull up. You got your binder as well. Ah, there we go.
There you go.
I thought I had it. So Chair, as mentioned, there might be about 6 inches or a foot that is not completely opaque from street.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask also, I know that there's a drawing that indicates the peak of the roof is 12 feet. Is that about consistent with the main house height? Do we know? Okay.
I'd imagine the main house has got to be closer to 18 or 20, but.
I have a question on the interior. You have a pocket door going into the bathroom and a barn door for the washer and dryer. Are those two going to be able to cross over each other without problem?
The pocket inside the wall, and the barn door will be outside on the outside mounted.
You could double door yourself in the bathroom, I guess, if the barn door.
Yeah, that's honestly what I was thinking. If you were in with one, the other one got closed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Since we're talking about the floor plan, I'm curious too if you have accounted for wall thickness on like the sizing, because I think also that the bed that you have in there is say like 6.5 feet is not actually like a queen size bed. I don't think. Okay, yeah. So anyway, that was just a concern that I had is maybe it might be a little tight, but it's just well, like this is before you start building the walls, and then you realize, like, oh, you might just want to think about like, the wall thickness, because I've been caught by that myself before. So.
Well, I was just wondering when I asked about the pocket door and the barn door, because we have a barn door on our bathroom, and it's sometimes an issue. But if you flip the toilet and the sink, so the toilet was in the back and just moved the pocket door down, then you might not have the doors conflicting. But I'm not an architect, so.
Okay, so I guess if anybody, is there more discussion, or do we have a motion?
I would make the motion to recommend approval to the zoning administrator for the proposed guest house conversion. File number PZ 26-44, subject to the exhibits provided and stipulations 1 through 3.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we second? Can I second or?
I can second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Susan, I don't think we've heard from you.
I'm not gonna approve. I just think it's too tight as far and not really usable,
Oh,
but
okay, got it. So I'm sorry, let me go on to the next one. Any opposed?
yeah.
Okay,
Nay.
great. So, we will,
And with a board of 4, because I'm missing board member Volk, with a board of 4, a vote of 2-1 passes. Now, I can't hear one of my board members. I will give him a call tomorrow just to see what his vote is. I can't recall what the vote is for a tie.
I also, I
I
don't,
can't recall. I will call you both tomorrow. And I will confirm.
yeah, I don't,
I
that's never
can't,
come up.
yeah,
Okay.
Can I ask, what does she mean by too tight, like just the total dimensions?
Susan, did you want to, could you, is it okay for her to elaborate on her reasoning for?
I just don't know that it's appropriate for the neighborhood, the house. I don't know I've seen enough to make it look right. And I just don't think it's a good addition to the neighborhood.
So it may, in this case, it also could potentially be the materials and the way that it's presented, because I think,
It could
maybe
be.
you're concerned that like, if it really does look like the shed, like, I don't think we want like a larger version of kind of that Home Depot shed. But I'm guessing maybe that might be.
you could be. And Vice Chair, to answer your question about when there's a motion and a second, generally City Council will say any other comments, and there would be that opportunity for additional comments before a vote. Once a vote is taken, the motion is rendered.
Okay.
Just for next time.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, so basically this item is closed.
Yes, that's correct.
We'll move on to item 5, staff report on current events.
Welcome to stay, otherwise I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good to see you too.
Chair, Vice Chair, council members of the board. What is summer? The school's open, the 157 of them, 100 underclassmen, 57 upperclassmen, about 60 of them get bused from all parts of the Alva Free district, since they send buses to every location and collect kids to each one of the academies. They have not had any issues or concerns as of yet. We've been very fortunate with the high school. The theater has its grand opening October 1st. The library opened as well on Monday, had a quick snafu with a sewer line we forgot to uncap, and had to dig it up at 3 a.m. on Tuesday and uncap it. And so they went right back to it, and they've been having people show up. So that's been a great joy to see that done. If you haven't seen it, it both came out very well, I think. The library has a mural that was a very cost efficient mural that we hope to do more business with them. They were one of our grant recipients from City Council. So hopefully more to come with them. We're like in the 4th inning though, because the park hasn't started yet. The underpass hasn't started yet. Litchfield Road improvements haven't started yet. Camelback hasn't started yet. These are all projects still to come. We've had a lot of interest in Monument Point, as mentioned, and we have entertained several people that have come in lately considering to submit RFPs on Litchfield Square. This is not a discussion item, but as soon as the gavel is hit, if you have other questions, you can reach me after the confines of this meeting.
So item 6, board member reports. Anybody have any any reports?
I would like to report. I attended both ribbon cuttings for the high school and the
Library.
library. And I just really want to commend you and your group, your staff. You guys did an absolutely fabulous job, and I'm glad to see your eyes stop twitching.
I'm sleeping. Monday night was the first time I'd slept.
You look much more
Fully.
rested.
Thank
Your
you.
eyes are not
Thank
quite as wide.
Yes.
But you did a fabulous job and it's beautiful. The nods to history. Have you seen it since it was
I
completed?
haven't.
There's so many little touches that are nods to the history of the hilltop or, you know, the design of different things.
Yep.
That it's really cool and I'm glad to see it.
Me too.
Great. Anybody else think? Susan? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I will second. All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
We are
Thank-
adjourned.